Hi guys, this is G2 Caps, and today I'm going to be teaching you guys some of my favorite tips and tricks
for Aurelion Sol.
So I really like Sol. I mean, I think I started liking Sol a lot when he got released, and that he had like the stars around him mechanic. I thought that was a very fun mechanic to try and move when your opponent was trying to dodge, and basically you're playing like a dodge game like that. So I really like that mechanic. Now, of course, he's a very different champion from what he was back then, but I still think there's a lot of fun playing him. His ult has like a huge AoE, and of course his like resets. He can just chase down anyone. It's very hard to get away from him. You're always on a timer against Sol. It's definitely something that everyone has to be careful of. So for Aurelion Sol, his passive is of course the power of his scaling, right? It's that whenever he hits champions with his abilities, or when he like kills minions inside of his E, he gets these passive stacks. And these stacks are very important because they empower his ability. They allow him to fly further. They allow his E to become like massive. Same with the ult. And the Q just does like a lot more damage as well. So getting the stacks on Sol is important. It's also how you get the huge ult, which I guess we can talk about later. But yeah, definitely very important to play around the passive. Try to get as many stacks as possible. And then moving on to his Q, this is like his main damage ability, the one where you're just like standing still and just spitting fire on them, burning them down. And how it works is that it does a little bit of damage when it has ticked for you for like about a second. It does like a huge burst of damage, which is like significantly more. It has a very short cooldown, especially if you insta cancel it. It's a very short cooldown. You have to be somewhat strategic about like where you stand when you throw the Q, but at the same time you can go for the Q for a few times, and then when your opponent doesn't seem to have a good answer, you can keep it going for the big burst. And moving on to his W, that's his flight ability. This one is like the main power of like actually like roaming and getting like the resets and getting the pentakills in games. This is how you can actually be mobile while also using the Q, because you can use the Q during the W, and it actually does increase damage. So yeah, just flying at people, Qing them while flying at them, very important. Of course, if you can not fly directly into melee champions, it can be dangerous. You fly a bit slower if you Q, so that's also something you can play around with, but definitely an important ability. I mean, his E is quite strong. I think the main power of it is, I mean, one, stacking. You get a lot of stacks from like Eing the wave and killing the wave when you E. But also in the late game, it's a very big zoning tool because it slows very much. So it's very hard for your opponents to like even walk through it. And then moving on to the ult, the huge playmaker in the team fight, right? Like it gets very big, especially if you have the big ult. Basically how it works is that every 75 stack you get the big ult, and then you use the big ult, and you need 75 stacks of the passive again to get another big ult. And of course it's just a stun and then the knock up if you have the big one. And as well as that everyone is just gonna get hit by at least the damage. So yeah, that's his abilities. So I think right now on Sol, I probably like buying Realize most Rush. I think it's crucial. I think it makes it so when you WQ people, they just can never escape. Even the ult, like the massive ult, will always hit everyone, so everyone gets Realize load. For sure, the main thing is just like you can keep flying at them and queuing, and no one really can ever escape you. And after that, I also like buying Leandris. I think it goes quite well with him. You get a bit more extra health for the tankiness, and it's very easy to go into combat, so like you can stack up the Leandris passive quite well. Those are like the two core items, and after that I think you can have some options. I think you can go for the Rabadons, just damage, more damage. I think Magic Pen, like the Crit Bloom can be good. I think that Hourglass can be crucial some games. So it's just very situational on like what kind of game you're facing, and I think all of them are like decent options. On Sol, the most important is for sure this, like the stacks is like stacks is very important, and you need to know to like find timings to use EQ on the wave, to just like E and then Q the wave to get some stacks. But I would not overthink it as well, because it's for sure something that's important. But if you just EQ side waves in mid game and when you are catching on a turret and stuff like that, that should be enough stacks. The more important part is finding like good trades with the Q and not getting poked out. And then in team fights, try to use your W not too aggressive. A good W can like just win the whole team fight, but it can also cost it if you're just like dashing into someone who has a lot of CC, or you're going too close to your opponent. So I think for the most important thing you need to think about when you use your Sol Q is like finding a good spot to just keep queuing. Like you can kind of use it and then stop it insta, and it will have a very short cooldown compared to if you hold it for even like half a second, it will have a longer cooldown. So you keep using it, and then if your opponent responds poorly, you can keep it going and get the big burst. And for the W, I mean, dashing through walls is quite strong because a lot of champions have a hard time interacting when you're inside a wall, and you can still just queue them. I think holding the W is very important. Like don't be too fast to use W. I think hold it for a bit, just queue them, and then when they finally escape, then you W, or when they finally reach you, then you W away. I think that's what's important to know. So I think the hardest matchups for Sol are probably like melee champs with a lot of mobility that can like dodge your Q, and also especially if they can cancel your dash. I think like stuff like Sylas and Yone, both have a very easy way to get to you, and your dash doesn't really work against them because you just get SyncID or you get Yone knocked up. So I think those are for sure the hardest champs to deal with. You can not really just queue them because again they will just jump around and then you're just a sitting duck when you're just queuing. I mean, I think early levels are usually fine for you. They don't have their mobility yet, they don't have all the damage yet, so those are usually fine. But I think once you get some levels, it starts becoming quite tough. If they want to like hold the wave, freeze it, then maybe you can impact bot or top, and you can snowball very well with Azul and roam very well with his dash. So I think every game is going to be different with Azul. I think especially when you have a hard matchup versus an easy matchup, so the amount of stacks you get can be very different. The later in the game you go, the faster usually you start getting stacks. In general, you probably want to be looking at like around maybe 80 stacks at 10 minutes, and then like maybe 200 at 20. I mean, you definitely get a lot of stacks from queuing now, actually, champions. So if you just fight a lot, I think you'll naturally get a lot of stacks. I think for Eing the wave, you definitely want to E the minions, especially when they're inside your turret, because the turret will help like kill the minions. And you really need to know how much your Q damage is, because when you E and then Q the wave, you want to have the minions die when the E is up. So playing Azul level 1 in lane, I mean, very situational. I think in general, I like to go for the Q star as well. People used to go a lot of E stats, but I think it's not the best. You get maybe a bit more stacks, but you can get way better trades with the Q. And then you just want to poke them, keep doing the short Qs, proc some comment, proc some scorch, just get some damage in. If you manage to go behind the wave, you can zone your opponent a lot from XP and gold. Or if they want to get gold, you can at least get a good trade on them. That's like the most important. You're actually very strong like early levels with Azul. Definitely first few levels you are quite strong, so I would try to use it as much as possible because it makes the later levels a lot easier for you if you succeed. Alright, so to give you guys a bit more like practical gameplay and to show you how you get a Pentakill with Azul, we have our BDS game here, and yeah, let's see how it looks. So as you can see at the start of this clip, they had a very like weak positioning, like they were very split. We have like their bot lane over here, the mid is over here, the top jungle here, while we are like together. So it's very easy, and Azul is a very strong champ at like punishing weak positions like this, because he can again fly at people, and it's very hard to get away from him. So here we have Yike behind Azir, and the Azir doesn't even have flash. So he does manage to dash away from us. But again, I can fly at him, slow him with the ult, and it's like a massive ult. And no one even wants to attempt to help him because it just looks so hard to get away from us. And with the big ult, it just doesn't feel very comfortable to help. But in the same time, they are also like splitting up, which just leaves, like now Ashe, it's a free kill, even though I was very far away because the dash is so long. She's just a free kill because she's alone. And then it's again on to the next ones. Now we have Ice and Adam basically splitting up from Volibear as well, and even if they didn't, like they have 2 people dead, right? So they just don't have the numbers to really defend against the dash. And while I almost died to Aatrox, we managed to kill him up, and from there it's just finding the last guy, right? And again, Azul can just always chase people down, a lot of flying, a lot of queuing. With Rylai's you can do like just you know, a quick Q just to proc the slow. It makes it a bit easier at chasing, and then it's just waiting for the second W, you know, if you need it. I think maybe he even turned on me beforehand. Yeah, he turns now, so I didn't even get to use the second W, but yeah, that's how you get a Penta. So thank you everyone for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed my ideas of like tips and tricks you can do on Aurelion Sol, and also how you can get your own pentakills. And yeah, if you like the video, feel free to subscribe, like, comment down below as well. I would like to know which champion you want me to do next. Maybe there's a different one. I did get another penta recently. But yeah, other than that, see you guys next video.